Nicola, I am very grateful for this type of presentation, and that's true that my mom speaks fluent French and her stupid son doesn't. Okay? Bonsoir, madame et monsieur. That's the only way I can address you. But I will do better in the nearest future. I've had some rumors that you guys have troubles with the prime ministers in France, right? That's true? So I am at your disposal. I am even ready to parler français in case if you need to substitute the new PM. It is a great privilege, and it's very kind of you, Nicholas. Thank you for the invitation, and it's very kind of you to invite me. And you know, I was looking into the record of your school, and it's an amazing record, and it's an amazing school. And yep, I should. Okay.
If you want to speak.
So, and it's an amazing school, and you have a number of Nobel Prize winners. So now I know there are two types of folks who can get Nobel Prize, and this is the message to President Trump. Either you can get a durable and fair peace in Ukraine, and I hope in this case President Trump could get the Nobel Prize, or you can graduate from your school, and there is a minor chance to get the Nobel Prize. I'm here not to lecture you. I'm here to tell you the story, and to ask you to understand what is really happening in Ukraine. I am not here to beg you for the support or to persuade you to support Ukraine. If you understand what's really happening in Ukraine, you will support Ukraine. Because it is just black and white. So, the story is as follows. Here is my team, young ladies, amazing young ladies who represent my foundation. And look, let me tell you about the daily routine of your peers that happens in Ukraine every single day. Usually we wake up at 9 in the morning, either in the underground shelter or in the subway, or some Ukrainians cannot wake up after the drone attack, after the missile attack, and after the mass killing that have been prosecuted by the Russian military. We have millions of displaced persons. Millions of Ukrainians fled the country. You face a huge migration in the European Union. We have millions of Ukrainians who are mourning and praying for their loved ones. We have huge casualties. But we are fighting. We are surviving. We are defending our homeland. We are not fighting for you. I want to be very clear. But we are defending you. We are paying the highest price on earth. And it's not denominated neither in euros nor in dollars. It is denominated in human lives. You can print billions, but you cannot represent the human being. What are we fighting for? And let me explain you the root causes of this war. As distinguished Nicola already said, this war didn't happen 3.5 years ago. It started in 2014, when I was sworn in as a prime minister. And the reason for this war was very clear. Designated war criminal Putin wanted to protect his pro-Russian president and abolished Ukraine to sign a membership agreement. It wasn't actually a membership, it was an association agreement with the European Union. We were just knocking the doors of the European Union. We didn't get the chance even to open the door. We were knocking the doors. And he was very vocal saying, no way. I am, as a war criminal Putin, to stop any kind of movement of Ukraine towards its family. And our family is the European Union. The next day, he actually illegally annexed Crimea, and this is the same playbook that Hitler did with Czechoslovakia. Then he sent his proxies with no insignia, both to Crimea, Donetsk, and Lugansk, saying that these are green people, people in the green military uniform. And in his words, you can easily buy this uniform in every shop in Moscow and in Kyiv too. And I, as a prime minister, even had to convince my counterparts in Brussels and all over the European Union that he's lying. Okay? It's a barefaced lie. This is his military. And then he moved further and further. He designated a pretext. And I am sure that you've had a lot of different narratives. The reason why he decided to invade Ukraine. The first reason he spews this BS is that Ukraine poses a threat to Russia because Ukraine wants to join NATO. It is a lie. And I will tell you the reason why. Because in 2014, the day the war criminal Putin decided to illegally annex Crimea and to send his troops to Ukraine, Ukraine, under its law, was a neutral state. He is lying. The second issue, he lied to the entire world, saying that he, like Hitler, decided to support and to protect the Russian-speaking minority in Ukraine. This is another lie. Because due to the Russian Empire, half of Ukrainians were indoctrinated to speak Russian. And for half of Ukrainians, Russian language was and still is a language of normal communication. And the truth is that the Russian language was and still is the only language that is indicated except Ukrainian in the Ukrainian constitution. It is a lie. The third issue, he said, that he is to protect Christians and Orthodox Church, because Ukraine prosecutes Orthodox Church, which is another lie. Ukraine and Kyiv is a kind of Jerusalem. So we have all religions, and we have a complete freedom of religion. So he deliberately crafted this pretext. This is the pretext of deception. But what are the real goals of Putin? His real goal is to take over Ukraine, to annihilate the Ukrainian nation as an independent nation, to restore the spheres of interest, to restore the Soviet Union, to undermine your stability, your prosperity, I mean the European Union and NATO, and to reshape the global order under the China-made umbrella. Putin, he is not the only one. China is using Putin as a ram to promote its ideology and its new policy. I hope that you have witnessed a few weeks ago this unbelievable gathering in Beijing in celebration of the defeat of Imperial Japan. I never knew that it was just China who defeated Imperial Japan, but now I know the history, the true history, okay? Together with President Xi, North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, designated war criminal Putin, Iranian leader, and another pariahs and dictators gathered actually to show to the free world that they are ready to launch a new era, which is era of autocrats and dictators. I wish you to live in peace, security, and prosperity. I mean you as a French people. And I want to be very clear. We are very grateful to France, to your government, and to your people that you stand by the Ukrainians. Nobody expected that Ukraine is to withstand, armed to the teeth, nuclear power, which is Russia. No one expected this. Putin expected to take over Kyiv just in 3 days. In the end, we have 3.5 years. What is happening right now on the battlefield? The situation is very complex, which is obvious. But Ukraine military is still durable. We are fighting. Putin's plan of the summer offensive has collapsed. The truth is that he has made some kind of incremental gains. But he doesn't have strength, force, and ability to make any kind of real breakthroughs. What is he doing right now? He is buying the time because he believes that in this war of attrition, he has more power, capability, and durability to fight with Ukraine and actually to take over Ukraine. So he believes that time plays into his hands. There are some kind of arguments for him. What is needed right now for Ukraine? Less summits, less hot air, less amazing messages, and different types of coalitions, but more actions. Silence and actions are needed. And what kind of actions are needed? First and outmost, we need a strong unity between the European Union and the United States. We need to have Americans on board. This is indispensable condition. The second one is that we need to undertake very strong actions. Putin understands only the language of actions. I know Putin not from the fiction movie. I've met him face to face a number of times in different capacities. He's not a crazy guy. No, he isn't an idiot. He is an obsessed political monster, which is much more dangerous. So he has his goals. And the only way to stop him is to act boldly and decisively. To provide an additional security supplemental for Ukraine. To impose tough and severe additional sanctions and secondary sanctions. To get along with India, not just to punish India, but to incentivize India not to buy Russian gas and oil. To show the strong unity of the free world and to act, to press, to push both on Russia and on China, and on those who support Russia in circumvention sanctions and who actually provided the lifeline for the Russia's war chest. What is the victory for Ukraine? This is the very existence of the Ukrainian state. This is the victory. So we need to defend my homeland. We need to defend my compatriots. We need to defend my nation. And this is in the interest of the entire Europe, because Putin wants to bring, not only Putin, but everyone who supports Putin. He wants to bring insecurity, chaos, insolvency, and problems in Europe, including France and everywhere. This is the world they want to create. Dictators can survive only in the world of chaos, but not in the world of order. To wrap up, I am still positive. And you know the reason why? Because we are on the right side of the history. We are just defending our lives, our families, our country, our homeland. We just want to live without air raid sirens. We haven't attacked anyone, and we deserve, as a nation and as a country, to live. As I say we, I mean you and we, because we represent the same values. We stand our ground. And as we are still united, we have the highest chances to win this righteous fight. And once again, I am very grateful to the people of France in your strong and staunch support of my nation. Merci beaucoup.
Anastasia, I am really grateful to you, to your service, to your dedication, and you've done an amazing job telling the truth. Okay, this is the way to memorize. And in your personality, I would commend the Ukrainian military and men and women in the uniform who right now are in the trenches fighting against the Russians. And I believe that they deserve your applauses. Thank you. In terms of memory, I will tell you my personal story. Last week, a husband of my cousin had been killed on the front lines. He was 2 times injured, and even despite his injuries, he refused to demobilize, and he said, "I will never let down my comrades on the front lines." And I can tell you, it is unbearable. Even to call to your cousin and to tell her that her husband is dead, because I was the first one who was notified by the military. And we have thousands, one can say even hundreds of thousands of these kind of stories. And it's not a story, it's a tragedy and it's a drama. We have hundreds of thousands of those who are injured, severely injured. But they are not giving up. That's another part of life. They are not giving up. And I am astonished with the number of folks I've met. With one hand, with one leg, they are walking, they are living, they are moving. And they want to be happy, and they deserve to be happy. So, we will retain this memory, and we will preserve the memory of those who perished. And we have to stop the killing, because you can't even imagine what is happening at Ukrainian cemeteries. Every cemetery is flooded with the Ukrainian flags. And you know the reason why? Because it means that men or women in the uniform have been buried in this very place. Let me give you one message, because I was closely listening to whether we are right now in the Cold War, in the Hot War. Look, the war is waging on right now. And this is a new type of hybrid war. One can say even that this is the Third World War. What Putin is doing, he already launched a number of sabotage attacks in the EU member states. He launched a dozen of drones to the NATO airspace. He has committed a number of assassinations in the European Union. And just 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine, who was the former Speaker of the House in Ukraine, was assassinated. Killed. Definitely by pro-Russian militant. His aircrafts are buzzing NATO aircrafts, and they already violated the airspace of the NATO. His drones already made an incursion in Sweden and Denmark. His cyber attacks, you face these cyber attacks, even in France, everywhere. So, the thing is that we are right now at the state of war. But it seems that we are underestimating ourselves. And this was my message today. I had plenty of meetings in the Foreign Office, in the National Assembly, in the Senate. And you know what I said to your folks? I said, look, France is a superpower. You are the superpower. You know this? You are the powerhouse of the European Union. You have a huge population. You have a huge military. You have a strong military-industrial complex. And you possess nuclear arms. Look at the entire Europe. It's 3 times bigger in terms of population rather than Russia. Look at the European economy. Look at the NATO economy. You guys possess 50% of the global wealth. You have the strongest military on earth. And we are afraid of whom? Of the economy of 2%, which is less than Texas? Of whom? Of the economy that is completely outdated? Of whom? Of the dictator that is dreaming of some kind of outdated empire that would never re-emerge. So my message is very simple. We are strong enough to win this war. But in order to win this war, we need to have guts, political will. We need to act, not to wait, not to believe that things will settle somehow. They won't settle. The quicker we act, the stronger we act, the higher chances to end and to win, once again, to win this war we have. So I would be happy to share with you some information which I just received. Before my trip, I contracted the polls, and I got the numbers of these polls. You know who is the most popular leader in Ukraine among foreign leaders? You can't even imagine. It's President Macron. And you know the approval rating of your president in my country? 80%. I hope he enjoys the same rating in your country. You know the approval rating of those who support, of those who admire France directly and relatively. Those who like France. 88% of Ukrainians admire France. I hope you admire Ukrainians too. And last but not least, on the very direct question, whether you believe that Ukraine can win this war against Russia. You know the numbers? 74% of Ukrainians still believe in full and unconditional victory of Ukraine. And I believe in this victory too.